I think what's happened in the West is that the forces that control the government, that control the financial system, Wall Street, and the media, along with Hollywood, are largely the same people. So, we have to take some time and go through it. But if you look at the major players who have billions of dollars at their disposal that contribute heavily to the Democratic Party, they are the ones that are sitting in the driver's seat. And they've decided that Russia must be destroyed, that it's in the interest, their interests, and the interests of the NATO alliance, that this war be precipitated and ultimately Russia dragged in, destroyed, and then ultimately endure regime change and then the sort of systematic looting of its resources. This all appeared, by the way, in a document that was authored by George Soros back in the 1990s. So this is a plan that apparently has been around for some time. And in fact, George Soros pointed out that the people best suited to destroy the Russians were the East Europeans, because he insisted at the time, quote unquote, the West Europeans don't have the stomach for it. So those are probably the origins. And the people that are running the current administration in Washington are either the same people or closely related to the people that launched the operations in the Balkans aimed at Yugoslavia and Serbia and ultimately Russia then. So this has been something that, for reasons that I don't personally understand, frankly, there was a desire to harm Russia. Now, at the same time, of course, you have the expansion of NATO. And it's hard to not put two and two together and conclude that the relentless expansion of NATO from its original borders all the way to the border with Russia and eastern Ukraine was obviously something that was part of this larger plan to bring on the conflict.
And you don't really understand the reason why. It's interesting. I was listening to this conversation between Bill Maher and Jordan Peterson that just came out. And Jordan Peterson said that he did not think we were undergoing a sort of political war, but deeper than that was a war of psychopathy against, I guess, normal people or people that aren't psychopaths. Do you relate to that comment at all and have anything to say about that?
I don't know. I know that some of the key players, Victoria Nuland and a cohort, the Blinkens, everybody that's running the administration seems to have a relative who came to this country, to the United States, from what we call the Pale in Central East Europe, which was an area that under Tsarist Russia embraced part of White Russia, Ukraine, and Eastern Poland. And they obviously have relatives who suffered at the hands of the Tsar, presumably. Some of them came later after the Bolshevik Revolution and were very enamored of communism at the time and saw the Soviet Union as sort of a group of well-meaning souls who got lost on the road to utopia, never mind the 60 million human beings they murdered. There are all sorts of different aspirations and interests, I think, at work. And ultimately, I think this appealed to a broader audience of what we call neocons and globalists. Russia is this strange outlier. It is a national state that rests on the foundation of Orthodox Christianity and culture and Russian ethnicity. Even though there are millions of non-Russians inside the Russian state, nevertheless, they all swear allegiance to Russia. They speak Russian, and have largely assimilated into the mainstream of Russian society, although they may be Chechens or Tartars or any number of different ethnic groups, and it seems to work. As a result, this is something that's bad, that has to be destroyed. Russia is not opening its borders to millions of people from the Middle East and North Africa, and it has no intention of doing so. It sees itself as deserving of survival, as a civilization, if you will, unto itself, and will not allow that civilization to be destroyed. And apparently the globalists, the neocons that we've been dealing with in the United States for the last 30 years, that have set us on the path to war in any number of different places, are committed to its destruction, seeing it as a sort of last obstacle, because after all, they've had so much success in Europe, in France, in Great Britain, in Germany, and Scandinavia, Spain, Italy, by flooding it with millions and millions of non-Europeans, large numbers of Muslims, that they want to do the same thing to Russia. Russia's resisted, therefore Russia must be destroyed. And then, of course, you have the financial aspects. Russia has divorced itself from the larger global financial system, which we in the West dominate, effectively New York City and London. And Putin has done everything in his power to disengage from that, to make Russia independent of it. And now, of course, Russia, working together with China and India, along with 41 other countries in the world, are trying to put together a new currency that's pegged to gold, to completely avoid and divorce themselves from the Western fiat currency system that we run and dominate.